I just want to take a moment to point out that the Babylonian Queen is actually a part of the assassin class in this Fate series. That's a very flashy assassin, because from what I'm used to when it comes to assassins, or assassin servants in Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero, they're very stealthy. Like, they don't have flashy moves, they stay hidden in the shadows, they attack people, bring them down, and usually they get wrecked like it's nothing as well. But in this case, the assassin in this Fate seems to be on the level of Gilgamesh and how flashy he is when he goes into combat. I mean, just the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Like, holy shit. Like, okay, I don't know much about, you know, Babylon, like the whole history of it, or the Tales of Gilgamesh and stuff. I haven't seen the entirety of it. However, I have heard of the Hanging Gardens, and just seeing the Hanging Gardens come out, I'm like, bro, that's just so fucking massive. It's a flying-ass fortress, and you see how it's just going onto the battlefield, and the fucked up part is that it is the assassin class that is commanding this. Now, if Gilgamesh was here, I think we could all agree that that man would probably be very pissed off right now, because someone is using his treasures. Because remember, he owns all. Everything is his. And since she's technically from Babylon, that would mean that this is from Gilgamesh's vault, his big vault of treasures, because that's rather funny, because if Gilgamesh was here, this man would be just completely pissed because someone is using his treasure, even if it is the queen. So anyways, besides that, let's talk about, I guess, the setup of this episode. It seems like the fight that was built up in the first episode, like we got to see like the fight and all that, everybody was fighting at once. It seems like that fight is about to happen a lot sooner than I thought. I figured that was going to be like the climax to, you know, this Fate, and that was going to be like it. That was the end of the series. But that does not necessarily seem to be true, because in this episode, you have it to where both sides are about to engage on the battlefield. We have the skeleton soldiers coming out of the Hanging Gardens. You have all the servants from both sides lining up, going to war. And so, basically, the fight we saw in the first episode, it's about to happen. My only question is how the fuck does Siegfried get back? That is the question I have right now, because we know Siegfried died. He fucking died. Now we know Sig is going, and as I said, the only thing I could see that makes sense would be Sig, since he's going to do his own thing, most likely he's going to be able to summon Siegfried or something. That's what I'm assuming. He's gonna somehow bring the man back, or, you know, somehow Siegfried's alive and he's the new master or something. I have no idea, but that's the only question I have, because of, you know, we know the battle's about to happen. We know Siegfried's gonna come back because of the first episode, so okay, I really am curious on how that's going to be done. Anyways, though, let's talk about the, Vlad, the king. So, Vlad as a character definitely surprised me. I didn't think Vlad would be that badass. He definitely fits the king role of just leading his people to the battlefield. I mean, when he was just hyping up his troops, hyping up all the servants, I'm like, holy shit, this is such a different feeling compared to the other Fates I have watched or even played the games of. It's just so different, because I'm used to seeing servants all on their own, fighting each other, trying to kill each other. Sometimes there's some truces between servants, but overall, it's like every man for themselves. And it's very rare to see like a bunch of servants on both sides just going in at each other, and seeing how Vlad as a servant just standing up and all that on his horse, and he's like, get ready, I know we're, you know, outnumbered, I know we only have 6 servants, I know our assassin isn't here, we're down Saber, I know things don't look too good, but we must push on, we must do this, and we are true heroes. We do not falter, we do not run from, you know, the threat that is coming at us, we are not scared, we gotta continue to push forward. Just very badass stuff. I liked Vlad and just his entire personality and how he was leading all the servants. He definitely fits his role, and he definitely fits a role of a king. Just really nice stuff. I really wonder what would happen if, you know, King Arthur was here, and if Gilgamesh was here, and then also Ryder from Fate Zero was here, and if they all met up and had a conversation, you know, together. I mean, we saw that in Fate Zero with King Arthur, Ryder, and Gilgamesh, but I'd be very curious to see what Vlad would say to these other kings if they all met up. That's what I would really love to see. Sadly, I think that's never gonna happen, but still, though, just Vlad seems to have great qualities as a king, and just a really great personality overall, so I just like his character. Anyways, moving on, I want to talk about the situation with assassin. So I already briefly said that assassins summon the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which is just incredibly flashy for a assassin class. I don't even know what the fuck to think about that, because what I saw from her abilities is that she has abilities like a caster servant. That's what I see. She is able to use stuff that casters can use, because the skeletons that were being summoned and stuff are very similar to caster and Fate Stay Night. And then the way there was a summoning of this big ass, ship and all that, the Hanging Gardens just flying, something of that level, you would think that you would need to be a caster or something to be able to do something like that. I mean, and that's what I'm just curious about. I'm very curious of how she's able to do something like this with that amount of power and just do things that assassins can do and also like a caster class servant can do. That's what I really want to know, because of how this episode just really emphasized the point that she is definitely different from all the others. I guess this just goes to show that the Babylonian servants are just incredibly OP. I mean, look at Gilgamesh and, Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night, and now look at her. I guess it makes sense that, anyone from Babylon, the time of that era or whatever, they would probably be very strong or OP, so I guess that's why she is that strong. But still, just what she's doing fits more of a caster servant than an assassin type servant. So let's talk about Sig for a second. So Sig, as I said earlier on in this video, he's going to the battlefield, and so far he hasn't really done anything too important. I feel like he's going to have a massive role to play in the story. I do see that happening because he took, the name from Siegfried. He has Siegfried's heart, and I mean, the man is trying to find his reason for living and all that, and we know, thanks to, Ruler, that he's going to play a major part. He's going to be a big part in the Holy Grail War. So it's not going to be where he's just watching and that's it. He's going to have to play a part. The question I have is like, when is he going to play this massive-ass part? Is it going to actually be in the upcoming war because of Siegfried supposedly coming back, or is it going to be another place? And I really want to see this character get developed, because so far, from what I've seen, he's very plain. And like I said, it's kind of a good thing, because with a character like him that's kind of like a clean slate, he can be anything. He can become anything. He can develop in any direction. He can become a good guy. He can become a bad guy. It really depends on the people around him and how it changes him while he sees this Holy Grail War. So I'm curious to see when he develops, because so far right now, the character is just very plain, and I don't really care too much about his scenes when it comes to these episodes. Like the scene in this episode when he was with the old man, it reminded me a lot of like Waver from Fate Zero, but overall though, just the character is very plain and lacks personality, pizzazz, so to say. And so I hope the character becomes very interesting soon, because I'm not really enjoying him that much. So yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, Mordred is not there at the battlefield yet, so that's still a question left to be answered. How is Mordred supposed to get there? And also, the assassin, Jack ate a fucking heart in this episode. Like, oh my god, what? Okay, so, as I said, a lolly Jack the Ripper is just creepy as fuck, because you would think Jack wouldn't be like a lolly. However, seeing a little lolly girl eating a heart like that, like it's nothing, that was, whew, dude, you're like, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, that was just creepy, kind of cringy, and I'm like, it's disgusting. Just seeing the way she was slurping it up like some freaking noodles or something, I'm like, oh, she was just like slurping the heart like it was a freaking noodle. That's what she was doing, and I'm like, that's disgusting. That is legit disgusting. So Jack is not going to be a part of the battlefield from what I can remember from the first episode, so Jack still has a very important role to play. So far, from what I've noticed from this Fate, is that the assassin class servants are very different from the other assassins I have seen. Because Jack, yes, it fits Jack the Ripper being an assassin, I won't deny that. However, Jack has been a little bit different compared to the other assassins I have seen. And the assassin that's, the queen, oh, that's definitely not an assassin. Like, there's just no way you can consider that person an assassin. So, I noticed that the assassins in this series are very different from what I am used to. So, I can probably expect more from them. It seems like they might be in the spotlight. It won't just be like the archers taking the spotlight, or the saber class servants taking the spotlight, or even the berserker class servants. I'm glad to see the assassins having a little bit more of a role to play in this series, because usually they always get axed out like it's nothing before the series is even halfway done. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.